What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka All Fires Know. We've been getting a ton of new details for Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. And if you've been paying attention to the Avengers Doomsday rumors as of late, according to the anonymous Twitter scoopsters and industry insiders, it would seem like we are headed for a death of a major character. Now, I know what you're saying, yeah, Mike, there's probably going to be plenty of deaths of major characters in Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, but this one is a little more specific. We're going to break down exactly what people rumored over the last week and which character we think it is, none other than Shuri. We're breaking it all down, this latest rumor that we're headed for a major female death in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, which character we can rule out and which character it probably is. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. Thanks to everyone who's been subscribing lately. If you haven't already, I would just kindly invite you to do so. It's the number one thing you can do to support the channel. Plus, it'll enter you for our ongoing PS5 giveaways if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so today's scoop actually comes from two separate industry insiders that are corroborating each other. The first of which is the Twitter scoopster, the main middleman. He has been around basically as long as I've been doing Marvel YouTube, since the days of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and while he hasn't gotten everything right like a lot of industry insiders and Twitter scoopsters, you know his name for a reason. He has a track record. He has gotten things right in the past. Now, the other source is at JamesMacWL. You can follow him on Twitter under that exact same handle. And while compared to the main middleman, he's rather new to the scoop game, he's come on extremely strong in the last 6 months with a lot of brand new scoops. It's just that they're for the future. We haven't been able to vet his track record. So take that as you will. But according to both sources earlier this week, we can expect a major female death in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. Now, there seemed to be a little confusion because at least one of the two guys posted a gif of Carol Danvers in response to something else, but people took it to mean that Captain Marvel was going to die in this upcoming film. And look, I seriously will not fault anybody speculating on deaths for Avengers or characters that come from the Infinity Saga. Not all of these actors actually want to stay in the MCU. Having a fitting sending off or death in one of these next two Avengers films would be their off-ramp from being a part of it. And you could not fault Brie Larson, who's definitely had a rather tumultuous relationship with what I would say is a small segment of the Marvel fan base, but I paused to do that because given everything they say about Captain Marvel and everything else Marvel, I wouldn't call them fans. I would just say that it's a small segment of the zeitgeist, or rather the popular conversation, that has decided to basically go at Brie Larson for everything she does, including her role as Captain Marvel. For the record, while we're talking about the trio of the Marvels, I think you can actually rule out Monica Rambeau. I don't know if she would qualify as a quote-unquote huge death, and while Miss Marvel definitely would, she has an extensive future in the MCU, not only alongside the Young Avengers, which will probably be named Champions at some point on Disney+, but also as a member of the X-Men. Iman Vellani, the person who plays Miss Marvel, actually helped Marvel craft a new story in which Miss Marvel joined the X-Men as a mutant. That's what they set up at the end of Season 1. Maybe no Miss Marvel Season 2 in the cards just yet, but her in the future of the X-Men franchise and the Mutant Saga for sure, so they're not killing her off during Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Captain Marvel being killed off, though, apparently was an erroneous report. Although a lot of people took it to mean she was going to die, both industry insiders said, nope, it's not Captain Marvel. And because, of course, the popular conversation always revolves around Scarlet Witch, they also went as far as to say, nope, it's not Scarlet Witch either. Now, there's only so many quote-unquote female characters that would qualify as a major death. There have been female-led projects, mostly at Disney+, like She-Hulk and Agatha Harkness, but I'm not sure that either of those characters actually qualify as the kind of major death that these industry insiders are teasing here. This is a character that's got to be really important to the story. Now, the first character I hone in on easily is Yelena Belova. I think she's miles ahead of a lot of the other female characters' sort of importance to the core narrative and emotional connection to the audience. So I don't want to instantly rule her character out, but still, I think Marvel's got plans to keep her around, and for a while, we've been talking about it at the channel, avoiding the same mistake of killing off your core Avengers, as she is the new Black Widow, before we even get to the next round of Fantastic Four and X-Men. But there is one other character that basically had her own female-led movie, and that's Shuri in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And considering how the mantle of Black Panther basically works, and that she's the 616's Black Panther right now, I think it's more than likely that if we're getting a major female death in Avengers Doomsday, that it's going to be Shuri's Black Panther, which clears the way for a new T'Challa's son, to take up the mantle. Now, that said, we have also had confirmations from not only the casting announcements with Tenoch Huerta, and Winston Duke that there's going to be Talokan and Wakanda involved in some sort of way with the main narrative for this storyline. I'm guessing it's going to be a battle in Wakanda, a la something like we saw in Infinity War, and we also know that from one of the leaked photos, slight spoiler warning, where we see the Thing and John Walker and Falcon on the ship that we presume is the Fantastic Fours on their way back to the 828. In the bottom right hand corner, you can clearly see what looks like a Black Panther boot. That's probably Shuri. Now this is all to say, as I mentioned during the prologue, that yeah, people have to die in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. You can't really establish Doctor Doom as the big bad he needs to be unless there's consequences in death. And you don't want this to be another redo of Infinity War when we lost everybody to a snap, but in Avengers Endgame they just cleaned it up and unsnapped everybody. Of course, it is always the case that in the comics, especially Marvel Comics, no one's ever truly dead. They're just one writer or reboot away from being a part of the story again in either a new variant or new story, new surroundings, or just the same character brought back to life. And given what we just saw in the Fantastic Four, of course, again, huge spoiler warning if you haven't seen it, back out now. I can't believe people were complaining in my last video. The movie's been out for 3 weeks, guys. If I'm talking about the Fantastic Four ending at the channel, you shouldn't be surprised. That said, back out now. The fact that Franklin Richards was able to resurrect Sue Storm with such ease, and while he's an infant, just means that if he's around for the storyline in the future, helping rebuild the multiverse, he could presumably resurrect anybody who dies. It's sort of hard, again, in the face of this to be like, well, they're dead forever, but in part of sort of suspending disbelief here, as part of the verisimilitude of the project, they're going to want to establish stakes, and they're going to want to kill off characters for those heartfelt moments for not only us, the audience, but what it means to the characters in world and the narrative. So I just think that we're probably lined up for a lot of deaths, especially for those Fox X-Men characters that know there's a recast coming in the next phase. There is no future for them. But look, maybe Shuri is missing the mark here. Obviously, there are a lot of female characters in that were introduced during the Multiverse Saga, but remember, this is being teased as extremely important, a huge death for a female character, and I just don't know that there's too many that would fit the bill in that way. Look, I loved Agatha Harkness, but I don't think Catherine Hahn's in Avengers Doomsday. She certainly indicated as much. We know Scarlet Witch is most likely not back. How many other characters could it be? You guys let me know down in the comments. If you don't think it's Shuri, and it's not Captain Marvel given these reports, who do you think is going to be the major female death during Avengers Doomsday, or at least at the beginning of it, as these industry insiders are saying? I am all ears as always. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Still giving away PS5s this year. We got 2 projects left. Hit the sub button, leave a comment down below, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. We'll always announce them live with my voice in the winning comment shown on screen at the end of videos. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under the name Allfires, including the song you're hearing in the background, and while I would sincerely appreciate you, check on my music out. Thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.